My buddy, what I'm about to share with you today came from the darkest periods of my training insights gained not by winning, but through comprehending the basic physics of human potential. You see, in those quiet hours of inquiry, I came upon something that altered everything. The mind does more than only regulate force. It also builds fields of predetermined outcomes. Have you ever noticed how a quantum particle lives in many states before it is observed? This is not just physics. This is the secret key to unstoppable power. Most people seek power via technique, form, and continuous repetition. But tell me, does the electron seek permission to form its magnetic field? Is it struggling to preserve its quantum state? I came upon something astonishing throughout my most in-depth study. When water flows down a small channel, it forms vortices, which are secondary currents that intensify the force. The same principle governs awareness. Your ideas are not just thoughts, they are quantum fluctuations in the realm of possibility, generating their own set of unavoidable consequences. Consider the moment when a superconductor reaches zero resistance. There is no steady progress. Resistance vanishes at a certain threshold. And I learned that our awareness follows the same principle. There is a mental state, a particular configuration of thought and intention, which resistance becomes amplification rather than a diminution. This is not abstract philosophy. When I punch, I don't just move my fist across space. I'm producing what quantum science refers to as a field effector, cascade of unavoidable consequences emanating from a single point of perfect clarity. You see, being unstoppable has nothing to do with force. It is about comprehending the structure of reality itself. Allow me to share something I've never disclosed before. In my most deep moments of discovery, I realized that mind produces its own physics. Just like a black hole bends space, a correctly oriented mind bends the fabric of possibilities. Have you ever pondered why some natural forces appear to thrive on opposition rather than just overcoming it? This is what we need to comprehend first. Allow me to demonstrate how the mind generates its own gravitational field, not via strength, but by complete harmony with the quantum basis of reality itself. My buddy, what I'm about to share with you today came from the darkest periods of my training insights gained not by winning, but through comprehending the basic physics of human potential. You see, in those quiet hours of inquiry, I came upon something that altered everything. The mind does more than only regulate force. It also builds fields of predetermined outcomes. Have you ever noticed how a quantum particle lives in many states before it is observed? This is not just physics. This is the secret key to unstoppable power. Most people seek power via technique, form, and continuous repetition. But tell me, does the electron seek permission to form its magnetic field? Is it struggling to preserve its quantum state? I came upon something astonishing throughout my most in-depth study. When water flows down a small channel, it forms vortices, which are secondary currents that intensify the force. The same principle governs awareness. Your ideas are not just thoughts, they are quantum fluctuations in the realm of possibility, generating their own set of unavoidable consequences. Consider the moment when a superconductor reaches zero resistance. There is no steady progress. Resistance vanishes at a certain threshold. And I learned that our awareness follows the same principle. There is a mental state, a particular configuration of thought and intention, which resistance becomes amplification rather than a diminution. This is not abstract philosophy. When I punch, I don't just move my fist across space. I'm producing what quantum science refers to as a field effector, cascade of unavoidable consequences emanating from a single point of perfect clarity. You see, being unstoppable has nothing to do with force. It is about comprehending the structure of reality itself. Allow me to share something I've never disclosed before. In my most deep moments of discovery, I realized that mind produces its own physics. Just like a black hole bends space, a correctly oriented mind bends the fabric of possibilities. Have you ever pondered why some natural forces appear to thrive on opposition rather than just overcoming it? This is what we need to comprehend first. Allow me to demonstrate how the mind generates its own gravitational field, not by strength, but by complete harmony with the quantum basis of reality itself. In quantum physics, we know that particles exist in numerous states at the same time, known as superposition. Your awareness works the same manner, but with three key sites of existence. Where does genuine power arise in the mind? Most people assume it begins and ends with your current posture or idea. However, this is like to attempting to comprehend a sphere by examining just one point on its surface. True power is not derived from a single focus. It results from the combination of three separate states of consciousness. Consider how a GPS calculates position not just from one satellite, but from 3 points of reference, resulting in overlapping fields. Your intellect follows the same principle. There is your current position, the right now. There's your point of possibility, quantum condition of what may be. And then there's your point of inevitability, the stance that must emerge from the junction of will and physics. Throughout my years of investigation, I found something remarkable about human limitations. Most individuals think in lines, following a linear route from issue to solution or desire to action. However, nature never moves in straight lines. Have you ever really noticed how water flows? It does not follow straight pathways. Instead, it generates spirals, vortices, and geometric patterns that amplify its force with mathematical accuracy. This is why I tell you that triangle thinking is the secret to unstoppable power. When you comprehend how to retain three places of consciousness at the same time, you generate spatial entanglement as defined by quantum physics. Your mind isn't simply calculating possibilities, it's forming a field of unavoidable outcome. My buddy, during my most intense training, I saw how force grows when awareness leaves linear patterns. Think about lightning. It does not find its way along straight lines. Instead, it follows a fractal pattern of possibilities, with each branch representing a computation and each fork introducing a new level of potential. This is how your mind should function, not with solitary concentration, but with geometric awareness that bends the universe of possibility itself. Why does water flow naturally in patterns? Because it adheres to the underlying geometry of the cosmos itself. Your awareness has to learn to do the same. When you link your 3 points of awareness, present position, quantum possibility, and geometric inevitability, you create what I refer to as a triangle of unstoppable outcomes. This is more than simply philosophy. It is the mechanics of awareness itself. Let me show you how geometric knowledge becomes physical reality. What causes unstoppable motion in nature? Consider the hidden mathematics of a thriving tree. Most people see just the apparent development, but behind the surface is a system of unavoidable expansion that follows the golden ratio itself. Each root not only grows, but it also produces what I refer to as points of inevitable growth. These are the mathematical points in space where expansion is a certainty. Your awareness must follow the same principle. When a tree reaches a barrier, it does not push its way through. Instead, it generates several places of development, each according to nature's holy geometry. The hurdle does not inhibit growth. Rather, it serves as a spark for exponential expansion. This is the first key to conscious intensity. In my most in-depth research of energy systems, I learned something fundamental about the nature of force. Energy does not expand via sheer effort. Rather, it multiplies through exact purpose and attention combinations. Consider how a laser intensifies light. It's not about increasing strength. It's about achieving perfect alignment. This alignment converts ordinary energy into coherent force. But how can intensity turn into inevitability? The solution is found in what I call the conscious intensity framework. When you connect your mental attention with a mathematical accuracy that controls quantum systems, something amazing occurs. Your awareness does more than merely focus. It generates a standing wave of magnified intention, similar to a superconductor that achieves zero resistance. This gets us to one of my most important discoveries: circular causality. Have you ever noticed how energy never really stops? It just changes its pattern of expression. Every neuronal impulse in your body's bioelectrical system has a cascade of electromagnetic repercussions. Rather than simply single impact, your ideas follow the same principle. They are not linear occurrences, but rather circular systems with amplifying potential. My buddy, if you grasp how to build these energy loops in your awareness, every action has its own velocity. Consider how a particle accelerator works. Each circulation increases the energy exponentially. Your mind can produce the same result, but only if you understand how to set up these self-reinforcing cycles of thinking and behavior. Pay careful attention now as I illustrate how these ideas intersect in actual reality. Let's go further into the fundamental ideas that drive unstoppable power. What causes a field of limitless possibility? Think about how an electron flows across space. It doesn't only reside in one location. It generates a probability field, a cloud of pure possibility. Your ideas follow the same principle. When you comprehend the mechanics of mental magnetism, you get the capacity to change reality. You know that each idea is more than simply one occurrence. It generates an electromagnetic field of potential. Just as electrons align in a magnetic substance to form an unstoppable force, your ideas crystallize into patterns with their own gravitational attraction. This is sheer psychological momentum. But here's a deeper observation. Genuine power arises from strategic spontaneity, not rigid routine. When does chaos become strategy? Consider how water behaves in turbulent flow. It generates flawless patterns from what seems to be random data. This is the key for rhythmic disturbance. During my most advanced training, I realized that fighting follows wave theory. Just as quantum particles have both wave and particle qualities, real fight awareness resides in a state of organized chaos. It's not about remembering patterns. It is about comprehending the mathematical principles that underpin all patterns. When you understand this, you may interrupt any beat, creating new frequencies of movement that defy conventional constraints. This leads to what I refer to as the spiral of inevitability. How can nature produce perfect storms? Triple alignment involves the convergence of several force vectors, resulting in a self-amplifying system. Your awareness must reach the same condition. When your awareness, purpose, and action align like the forces in a developing hurricane, you generate what scientists refer to as a phase change, an abrupt transition from one state of being to another. The quantum nature of awareness discloses its most profound secret. Just as subatomic particles may tunnel past apparently unbreakable boundaries, aligned mind can overcome typical constraints. This is not mysticism, it is the physics of possibility itself. When you learn how to achieve this triple alignment, your force not only increases, but also changes into a whole new condition of matter. Consider how a superconductor obtains zero resistance. There is no progressive improvement. At a crucial level, resistance vanishes. This is what occurs when you grasp these concepts. Your army doesn't simply get stronger. It enters a new realm of potential, where opposition is rendered unimportant. Watch now as I show how these ideas merge in actual reality. My buddy, we've arrived at the pinnacle of comprehension, the point at which theory becomes inescapable reality. What makes a storm unstoppable? Not only does it have an initial force, but it also has the power to generate self-reinforcing energy systems that become stronger as they move. In my most deep moments of discovery, I saw something remarkable. A storm not only maintains its energy, but also forms what meteorologists refer to as a positive feedback loop. Each subsequent revolution enhances the previous one. Every cycle enhances the entire. This is the key to enhanced execution of our beliefs. Your awareness must develop into this kind of self-amplifying mechanism. Every idea and desire causes a ripple in the quantum realm of potential. However, when you learn how to arrange these ripples to form resonant patterns that magnify one another, something amazing occurs. Your awareness does not just alter reality, it generates its own gravitational field, bending the space of possibility itself. But how can the intellect transcend time? Consider quantum entanglement, in which two particles impact one another instantly, regardless of distance. Your neurological pathways may reach the same level of immediate communication. In my most advanced training, I learned that awareness may exist in numerous states at the same time, similar to quantum superposition. And here is where fighting awareness expands beyond conventional knowledge. You are not just guessing motions or calculating answers, you're causing what quantum physicists call a probability collapse, making some events unavoidable via careful manipulation of possibility fields. When you perfect this, your body will not respond to situation. It goes along predetermined paths of unavoidable activity. But here's something I've never discussed before. Where does energy change into force? It occurs in the resonant zone between cognition and action. Think about how a laser works. It doesn't merely enhance light, it generates coherent energy via precise alignment. Your awareness must have the same coherence. Every idea, every action, each aim, every one must resonate at the same frequency, resulting in what I term bioelectrical optimization. Your nervous system is more than simply a network of messages. It's a quantum computer that can handle several worlds simultaneously. When you understand how to speed these neuronal circuits, time becomes relative. Your awareness does not just see opportunities, it builds them by modifying quantum probability. This is when true mastery starts. Every movement expresses the exact resonance of mind and action. Every approach becomes an expression of quantum certainty. You are no longer struggling against opposition. You are constructing areas of unavoidable outcomes by the exact application of mind itself. Pay careful attention. Now, when I show you how these principles converge in their fullest form, my friend, we arrive at the ultimate transformation, the moment at which resistance becomes a source of strength. How can resistance turn into power? Think about how a black hole converts stuff into pure energy. This is not destruction. It is the final transformation of form into force. In my deepest research, I found that the mind develops its own gravitational fields, which I refer to as mental gravity well. Reality starts to bend around correctly aligned awareness, in the same way that space does around huge things. This is more than simply a metaphor. It is the mechanics of psychological metamorphosis. The majority of individuals want to overcome or combat opposition. However, at the quantum level, resistance is just a kind of energy awaiting transformation. When you learn how to generate these mental gravity wells, every impediment or kind of resistance transforms into an amplifying force. This is what I mean by psychological gravity, what makes certain forces inevitable. Consider how planets maintain their orbits not via continual effort, but by perfectly aligning mass, velocity, and gravitational field. Your awareness may reach the same level. When you connect your mental force vectors with reality's basic geometry, you produce what physicists refer to as a path of least action trajectory that is unavoidable due to its mathematical perfection. This is where all of our values converge. The triangulation of consciousness, quantum state manipulation, and energy circulation all contribute to the creation of this area of psychological gravity. When mastered, You don't simply get past obstacles, you change the essence of opposition itself. Every force applied at you becomes a component of your own gravitational field. Watch now as I illustrate the ultimate theory of psychological gravity. When, my friend, does force become philosophy? It occurs when you understand that everything we've investigated, quantum fields, psychological gravity, and geometric awareness, are all manifestations of a single undivided reality. Just as Einstein pursued the unified field theory of physics, I found the unified field theory of combat consciousness. At the greatest degree of comprehension, there is no distinction between mind and body, thinking and action, force and flow. They are all representations of the same underlying reality. The triangulation of consciousness generates the geometry of possibilities. The geometry of possibilities creates psychological momentum. Psychological momentum creates an unstoppable force. In my lifetime of research, I've realized that genuine power isn't about dominance. It is about being in line with the most fundamental truths of reality. When your awareness is in perfect tune with the quantum essence of reality, you transcend the idea of resistance. Force does not conquer barriers. It alters them. It converts them into unavoidable consequences. This is the ultimate stage of awareness, my friend, the realization that the irresistible force is not something you produce. It's something you achieve by perfectly aligning with the mechanics of possibility. Every idea we've discussed leads to a single point, transcending consciousness. Now, my friend, when you reach this point of comprehension, I leave you with this question. What will you make inevitable? For when you completely understand these laws, reality becomes a field of unlimited possibilities, ready for your awareness to compress it into irresistible certainty. Remember that the most powerful force in the world is not the one pushing the hardest. It's the one that most closely resembles the fundamental fabric